Welcome to our video on healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are integral to a fulfilling and balanced life and provide a nurturing environment that fosters personal growth, emotional well-being, and genuine happiness. Whether in friendships, romantic partnerships, or familial connections, the significance of healthy relationships cannot be overstated. The Students' Commission of Canada has 4 core values called the 4 pillars. We use them to create a safe space for staff, partners, and the young people we work with. The 4 pillars are respect. We start with respect for the gift and strength that each person carries within. For young people, their idealism, and their capacity to improve the world. Listen. With respect as our foundation, we learn to listen. We listen not just with our ears, but with our heads, hearts, and all of our senses. We listen actively and intensely, not just to words, but to silences, to deeds, and to experiences. Understand. To understand is to go beyond listening, to process what we've heard from others, and to reflect upon the new knowledge and gifts given to us. Lastly, communicate, the beginning of action. This is when the obstacles fall away. We create plans with others and implement them to make a positive difference in our world. We can also think about these pillars as building blocks of a healthy relationship. The Supporting Student Health Guide states that healthy relationships should be based on respect. This remains true whether those relationships are romantic or not. Not everyone in a classroom needs to be friends or like each other, but everyone needs to be respectful. To begin having students reflect on what respect can look like in their lives, both inside and outside of the classroom, you may wish to try having students brainstorm on what respect means to them and how people show respect and disrespect. Then, to get students thinking about how respect is foundational to a healthy relationship, you could try to connect the previous conversation with how it feels to be respected or disrespected, and how respect is paramount in a healthy relationship, romantic or platonic. In a healthy relationship, it is also crucial for all parties to practice active listening. This means listening with the intention of better understanding the perspective of another person, rather than listening to formulate a response. One tool that we recommend for helping students to learn how to be an active listener is the OARS technique. OARS is an acronym to help students remember techniques they can use for active listening. It stands for O, open questions, A, affirming, R, reflecting, and S, summarizing. We've included a discussion activity that can be used to help students practice and reflect on these concepts. See the supplementary PDF guide for activity details. When active listening is established, people can begin to work towards understanding one another. Understanding helps create the conditions for a healthy relationship. When people understand who others are and their differing perspectives and experiences, they can begin to see each other as equals, value their differences, and build upon their similarities and common goal. There's understanding created around the problems each person faces and the aspirations that they have. To introduce students to the importance of respectful communication and healthy relationships, you may wish to show students the difference between how a message written in text is received and how the same message is received when read aloud, particularly if there are things like sarcasm or humor in the intended message. You could then have students brainstorm the differences between good and bad communication, and when different methods of communication are appropriate or inappropriate. It is also important to recognize that there can be a wide range of different cultural norms regarding communication styles within relationships. Elements of good communication can include ensuring clarity, honesty, asking questions to understand, providing someone the chance to respond, and being an active listener. On the other hand, poor communication may include vagueness, dishonesty, and not listening to others. For example, listening to respond rather than listening to understand. If you're looking for a place to start discussing abusive relationships with students, which can be an especially difficult topic, something you can try is having students brainstorm attributes that would be found in a healthy relationship and attributes that would be found in an abusive relationship. Additionally, if students are comfortable, have them give examples of what different kinds of abuse can look like. This allows students to begin thinking critically about how these topics may apply to their own lives and relationships. You can practice using the green flag, red flag, green flag activity. The instructions are in the supplementary PDF guide. We asked youth, what are some green flags and red flags in a relationship? And here's what they had to say. I believe effective communication is vital in any relationship. It is important that both partners and individuals in a relationship feel comfortable expressing their thoughts, feelings, and needs, and are in return willing to actively listen and respond empathetically. This fosters understanding, resolves conflicts, and strengthens the bond between partners. I also strongly believe that respect can be viewed as the foundation of a healthy relationship. When both partners treat each other with kindness, consideration, and empathy, it indicates a positive dynamic which can be only achieved if there's mutual respect. Lastly, trust is also important to any relationship. Both partners have to be transparent, reliable, and demonstrate trustworthiness. Trust is built through consistent honesty, keeping promises, and maintaining confidentiality. When trust exists, it allows for vulnerability, emotional intimacy, and a sense of security in the relationship.
What are some red flags when engaging in sexual activity? I think a big one would be persistence. I think if you've already said no and they keep pushing and asking or guilting you or trying to make it happen, it's a really big red flag. Another would be like if they're already coming on to you, like kind of sexually, or like they're like kissing you or rubbing your neck or embracing you already to kind of try and lull you in. I think that's a really big red flag. And then aggression, like if they're really demanding, if they're forceful, and they are angry, or maybe you can tell that they're intoxicated, that's another thing to look out for. In general, if it seems like they're more self-interested and they don't care about what you need or want, then it's a really big red flag. You need to make sure that they care just as much about you and your safety as they do about theirs.
When addressing difficult topics like abusive relationships and gender-based violence with students, it can be helpful to keep in mind the perspectives and experiences of youth and center these in your discussions. Approximately 1 in every 4 students will experience a traumatic event before the age of 16. This means each classroom could have multiple youth experiencing various traumas. To create a trauma-sensitive space for students, it is important to incorporate a trauma-informed approach in the classroom. So here are some trauma-informed teaching tips for the classroom. Recognize the signs of trauma. Signs of trauma in the classroom may include difficulty focusing, struggling with creating and maintaining friendships, being overly tired, excessive absences, changes in school performance, and withdrawing from activities. Provide consistency and structure. Structure daily schedules and providing an overview of each day. Self-regulation, mindfulness, and breathing exercises can be helpful to incorporate in the classroom so students develop these skills and can use them as tools on their own if needed. Utilize social-emotional learning. Social-emotional learning helps students develop skills in critical areas such as self-awareness, self-control, social awareness, and interpersonal skills. You can assign responsibilities and tasks to each student, which builds a sense of self-worth. Start the day with an affirmation, which can set the tone for a positive learning environment, as it encourages positive self-talk and promotes a growth mindset. Teaching mindfulness activities such as breathing can be done in conjunction with brain breaks in between lessons. And journal exercises may help students identify and express their feelings or opinions, and group discussions can promote healthy and respectful disagreements. Although every relationship is unique, some other general attributes of a healthy relationship may include being able to be vulnerable and feel safe with someone, trust, independence, strong support networks, honesty, and respecting boundaries. Some healthy relationships may have characteristics that could seem unhealthy to those outside the relationship. For instance, very close friends might share jokes about each other as part of their friendship. As long as this relationship is still grounded in respect and everyone is happy, it can still be a healthy relationship. While all relationships will have some disagreements and more difficult times, Healthy relationships generally produce mostly positive energy and happiness. Abusive relationships, in contrast, can feel draining and produce anxiety, shame, guilt, depression, and fear. In abusive relationships, people often abuse others as an effort to gain and maintain power and control over another person. There are several different kinds of abuse: cultural, financial, physical, psychological, sexual, verbal, and emotional. In young people, this abuse can present in many different ways. There's no one universal way that abuse looks like in a relationship, so it's important to recognize the different types and emphasize that none of these ways to control someone is okay. The BC government has created a pamphlet called Help Starts Here: Sexual Assault, with additional information about some tips for supporting students and responding to disclosures of sexual assaults. The link will be available for you. Gender-based violence can be defined as the use and abuse of control over another person that is perpetrated against someone based on their gender identity, gender expression, or perceived gender. This violence can be physical or emotional forms of abuse, and in young people, it may look like hitting, stalking, sexual assault, name-calling, put-downs, control, and manipulation. People who experience gender-based violence need support and to understand that they do not deserve what is happening to them. It is important that youth who may be bystanders to this type of violence understand this. People of all types of identities and backgrounds can be abused. However, women, girls, two-spirit, trans, and non-binary people face the highest risk of experiencing gender-based violence. Some groups of people face disproportionate impacts of gender-based violence due to additional barriers and discrimination they face in society, including Indigenous people, LGBTQ2S+ people, people living with disabilities, racialized people, and other diverse groups. For more information about gender-based violence, the Canadian Women's Foundation has developed a great resource on the facts about gender-based violence, which is available for you in the link. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. And as always, for more information and resources, please see the supplementary PDF guide.